because we're just that close to his appearing. It's exciting.
Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the bishops of Great Millstone, and Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash, Brakatham, to the 144,000 servants as well as the remaining elect of Israel. So what I'm about to show you is Revelation 17 verse 16 in the making, in which the Apostle John saw a vision of America, which is recorded in that very same chapter, Revelation 17, as Mystery Babylon the Great. And when you go to the 16th verse, he saw a vision of a whore, which represents America, riding on top of a beast, which the beast represents America's allies, okay, in terms of the European Union and America's NATO allies. And pretty much what he saw in his vision, Revelation 17 verse 16, represents what we see here in the headline. US allies turn their back on Trump, okay, who's the current president of the United States. So pretty much what the Apostle John saw represented America's allies growing a hatred for America and ultimately destroying America by way of thermonuclear missiles, ICBMs. Okay, America's allies being out there in Europe, allies such as Great Britain, France, and the rest of the crew. Now we know that only France and the UK possess ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, but nonetheless, again, like I mentioned, Revelation 17 and 16 is definitely in the making, and it's clear as day that you know, the situation between the United States and their so-called allies out there in Europe, you know, the tension is going to rise and is going to result in that prophecy being fulfilled. Okay, the beast shall hate the whore. And Habakkuk 2 verse 3 is in full effect. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. And that's speaking about the visions that our forefathers, the prophets, saw in their days, you know, concerning the end of the world, the end of Esau's world. Because as it's written, 2 Ezra 6 verse 9, Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. What we're witnessing as the hopeful elect of Israel, as the servants, the prophets of Yahweh Bahashem Shai, you know, we're witnessing the downfall and the end of this man's wicked kingdom, that man being the so-called white man, also known as the man of sin, also known as the wicked. Okay, their kingdom is coming to an end, and you know, it's only a matter of time before all hell breaks loose and Yahweh Shai returns with the holy angels in the midst of World War III, gathers the elect and destroys this man once and for all. Okay, the only prophecy that's in our way, you know, so to speak, that we need to wait for is Revelation 13 verses 16 to 18 concerning the mark of the beast, which is the implantable microchip that RC at Great Millstone is warning you Israelites about. Okay, because any of you Israelites that get down with Esau's beast system, when the time comes in terms of taking that chip, those of you that dwell out here in America, you're certified to be destroyed. Okay, when World War III heats up to a nuclear war, and when those nukes are launched on America, Babylon the Great, coming from not only their enemies, such as Russia, China, North Korea, you know, but also their allies, or their so-called allies. Again, pursuant to Revelation 17 and verse 16. And this is pretty much what this news bulletin is going into concerning the rising tension between the United States and their allies out there in Europe. Why? Because WATCHMEN is breaking up Esau's kingdom. Okay, and Yahushua said himself, a kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. All right, so what we're seeing is great division among these Edomites, which is Bible prophecy. Okay, you've also got Daniel, the 2nd chapter. You can read from around verse 38 on down. It speaks about, Esau's kingdom being divided, all right, at the very end of this Roman Empire, which has been revived in the form of NATO, the European Union, and America spearheading that whole hegemony, in which our Lord is breaking up this whole hegemony. Okay, and he's using this guy DJT to do so. Okay, he's playing a significant role in this whole ordeal. Anyway, we're gonna play this clip, or this news bulletin, and that will be it.
Trump is now disavowing responsibility for getting us into this mess in the first place. He says it's up to our allies to reopen the strait without any help from the United States. He told America's closest ally, the United Kingdom, to, quote, build up some delayed courage, go to the strait and just take it. Okay. Then later in the day, Secretary of Defense Hegseth echoed that same sentiment.
It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well.
And after that, Trump decided it wasn't enough to lay this all at the feet of our closest ally. He decided to rope in our oldest ally as well.
If France or some other country wants to get oil or gas, they'll go up through the strait and the Hormuz Strait. They'll go right up there and they'll be able to fend for themselves. I think it'll be very safe, actually, but we have nothing to do with that. What happens in the strait, we're not going to have anything to do with. We can take a machine gun from the shore and shoot a few bullets at a ship, or maybe an over-the-shoulder missile, small missiles. That's not for us. That'll be for France.
That will be for France. So now it's up to our allies to fend for themselves and open the Strait of Hormuz, even though it was Trump's war. Trump did this. That prompted its closure. Meanwhile, several other allies are snubbing Trump and his war of choice. Yesterday, Spain closed its airspace to all U.S. planes involved in the war. And today, Italy denied landing rights to U.S. warplanes at any airbase in Sicily. All of which has provoked even more outrage from Donald Trump. So Trump is alienating our allies, demanding that they clean up his mess. And at the same time, our adversaries are getting the VIP treatment. Today, a Russian oil tanker arrived in Cuba, despite a Trump-imposed embargo on all fuel shipments to that country. In other words, folks, Trump is giving Russia special permission to violate his own blockade, even though Russia is actively helping Iran target U.S. forces in the Middle East. Help me make it make sense. And that's hardly the only way Trump is contradicting himself in this war. The president has repeatedly implied that this whole operation is about to wrap up. But at the same time, he's sending those 1,000 more troops into the region each day. Trump says his goal is to destroy Iran's missile capabilities and stop them from building a nuclear weapon. But today, Reuters cites multiple sources who say that the State Department's top official in charge of arms control has been given a new assignment: organizing an international summit about Antifa. You know, because Antifa has so many ballistic missiles and nuclear warheads. You see, folks, this war is a perfect reflection of the man who started it. Trump is contradicting himself from statement to statement. He's lurching from one objective to another. He's passing the buck instead of taking responsibility. Donald Trump is treating the entire world like one of his construction projects. And he's learning it's a lot easier to tear something down than it is to put it back together. Joining me now, retired Lieutenant General Mark Hertling and former U.S. Ambassador to Russia, Michael McFaul. Ambassador McFaul, you know, your head just kind of spins on all of this when you're trying to figure out exactly what we're going to do. And I won't even get into what the allies are thinking, but I will, because we've treated them in such a poor way. Is it any surprise to you that they're so wary of helping the U.S. and are so reticent, and in fact, in the case of Spain and Italy, just outright saying no, because of what Trump is doing and the way he's approached them?
I look at this as a really tragic moment in American history. NATO is a fantastic alliance. It served American interests and values well for many, many decades. We've had our bumps in the road over the decades. This is not the first time. But when President Trump came in, he disrespected our allies. He threatened to invade one of them. I want people to be reminded of that fact. He literally threatened to invade one of them, and he called the other one. He said, oh, they're just the 51st state, right? That's Canada. And then he put tariffs on our allies in a completely irrational way. It made no economic sense, made no national security sense, and he just disrespected our allies. So with that comes pushback, and it shouldn't have to come. This is a self-owned goal. We created this problem, but it is a tragic moment because in the long term, America, in dealing with China and Russia and Iran and North Korea, we need our allies. And right now, because of this war of choice, this is the greatest threat to the NATO alliance that we've had in the Trump era. And I'm deeply troubled by it. I'm scared by it. I hope we survive, but we are in some troubled waters right now.
Yeah, General.
And that's spiritual that he said that he's scared and he's troubled, because that's prophetic. That in itself is prophecy coming to pass regarding, you know, these so-called white people, these Edomites, you know, being afraid of what's coming. Because when you go to the book of Job, I believe that's Job 18 and verse 11, what does it say? It speaks about how terrors on every side shall make him afraid and bring him to his feet. So this is what we're seeing in the making, okay? And it's beautiful to see, you know, those of us that are watching out for these prophecies, measuring the time, or measuring the times, I should say, concerning the scriptures, the prophecies, you know, and what we see in the news. Is beautiful to see because, you know, everything is coming to pass. Just as our Lord, Yahweh Shai said, okay, you got Isaiah 55, verse 11, the words of the Lord don't go out void, okay, and they shall accomplish that which he pleaseth, roughly paraphrasing. So this is what we're seeing happening, okay? The Lord is at work. It is time for thee, O Lord, to work, as it says when you go to Psalms 119, verse 126. So, you know, what we're seeing in the news is beautiful, and we're getting closer and closer to the destruction of America, Babylon the Great. So with that, I'm going to sign out. This is Yashalom. I Walam. Yahweh Shmel Ashar Brakatham.
And the devil feels like, well, he's really getting the best, but we already know he loses. He loses.